So I'm just noticing a couple of things in the field here that I'll just bring forward. That as the sharings are coming and the flow of the field is enlivening. Mm. Mm. I'm definitely noticing the beauty, and I'm noticing the depth of capacity that we have to be able to hold what is moving and changing in the field. And so a depth of still, silent presence and holding of what is moving and changing. We could say an ability to witness, but it's deeper than that. It's the ability to be unmoving in the face of the depth of purification that is happening. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I'm definitely noticing in the field is the purification that we're all in, and I'm included in that. I can assure you. So, you know, this is a really potent time. Just in the whole evolution of human consciousness, right? Where there's a lot of purification happening. And at the same time, what is real and true never moves and changes, right? And yet, part of the lived human experience is the purification, recalibration, and upgrading that we go through. And our ever-deepening capacity to be able to remain as the still, silent presence in the face of what is purifying. I'm very aware and noticing in the way that we are sharing in the sharings, just that deeper and deeper capacity to be unmoving. And the power is that when we are unmoving in the face of what is moving and changing, the transmutation happens, the shifting happens. It always happens. But the capacity we have to be subtly awake and aware and unmoving as purification and shifts and changes that come into the field, it allows the transmutation and the upgrades to happen more smoothly. What is really so important is that we also come to recognize, and I can recognize this happening in the field too, is that we're not so much taking the sense of purification that comes personally. So we're not so much taking it as in, I've done something wrong or something bad is happening, right? And in a way, this is hand in hand with what was just spoken. But when we don't take it personally, it also brings greater capacity to just be with what is arising, the moving, changing energetics, aliveness of the field, the transmutation, the surfacing. Even bringing a greater noticing of an awareness of what it is to feel and how glorious it is to actually be present to feeling, be present to seeing more of the subtle mechanics of consciousness, the mind, the body, the play, and not be capsized and not be moving to the victim, not be moving to opposition and resistance, but this true technology of love sweeping through, which is the capacity to include, receive, to hold the moving, changing in the silent, grounded field of presence, so that the moving, changing can have a guiding light, have a mirror, and that mirror of still, silent presence allows what's moving and changing, taking shape and playing out karmic frequency, resonance. It allows whatever's playing to have a guiding light that mirrors the essence nature. And when we, in our lived experience, come to a kind of integrated capacity to be able to mirror the truth, like within our internal direct experience, so where we're able to be the light that is mirroring the light and the divine to the discordant parts of ourself, there's a deepening of the magic that starts to happen, where we're able to meet what is purifying in a frequency of love and care and holding that reflects the true essence nature, that brings a frequency field of safety to the parts that are in the process of purification, surfacing, recalibration, even feeling on the level of the human experience some intensity or upset or anxiety or stress or emotionality, right? So we're really opening to that, the fullness of the multidimensional experience. And as we recognize that when purification happens, that we're not somehow failing, it's really big to realize that we're not failing. And that purification is actually something that happens in the process of refinement and maturing. Because as we are opening to the glory and the essence nature of who we are, the love that we are, anything that is being held in our consciousness as a pattern that is contracted or constricted, limited, that can pull us into limitation and the sense of separation, of course is going to be illuminated and called forward. Because it's in the highest interest of the Most High, and it's in the highest interest of our human lived experience for love to illuminate and free what feels to be bound, right? Through inclusivity, through illumination. So we're starting to really come into like an integrative cognition of how this is all flowing, right? And then everything that we are noticing is part of that recalibration and that evolution. From the deep, deep silence, the deep nourishment of silence, the grace and the glory of feeling immersed, infused, held, cocooned in silence, in a temple of reverent silence. With the fanfare of Nadam, feeling wrapped, feeling enveloped, truly held. And in here, in this deep silence, opening to this alive intelligence that is bringing insight, it's bringing recalibration and reorganization, and it's also bringing alive the subtle body, the body of intelligence. It's bringing a conscious knowing of consciousness of itself, a recognition where consciousness itself is remembering its own purity. opening to the field of being awake awareness. And that opening in this way doesn't negate the sense of the human experience, the play of the personal, the play of the individual, which we tend to reference as the uniqueness, right? It feels personal, it feels individual, and yet we come to realize in the deeper intelligence that there is no personal or individual as in divided, nothing that's divided. And yet that feeling of the personal, we could say, is like an intimacy of the felt landscape, the feeling, sensing landscape. And we're not making the word personal illegal or anything. We're just pointing to the actual truth of it being personal and divided isn't one that's backed up in direct experience of God and glory. That God and glory and the wide open field of being offers forward that there is no personal, that it's an utterly impersonal, undivided reality, and that our quest, the quest that we are engaged in naturally in our human lived experience, is to undivide the life and open to the fullness of the wholeness that we are, that we already are, that we always have been, and to allow the lived experience to be altered, upgraded, recalibrated, like really restructured as a subtle, refined consciousness where we see beyond the sense of the personal experience into the holistic fullness, where we're able to truly celebrate the one as a reverent, glorious field of pure devotion that knows only itself, no second. And yet from the fertile ground of the unified field, we realize that our unique experience is a profound divine blossoming. And it brings even more intrigue into the uniqueness and how finely and subtly and uniquely wired we all are. And it brings clarity to all of the ways that we have compared and competed and judged ourselves and felt like there's something wrong with me. When we realize that we're so profoundly uniquely wired, and actually the honoring of our uniqueness is where we really meet the sacred, right? Where we stop trying to fit into any kind of cookie cutter collective experience, where we stop making ourselves wrong for the things that we judge about ourselves, where we stop trying to be like anyone else, and we definitely stop trying to fit into a world that is discordant and dancing at the frequency of limitation, that we come to realize in this unity flow that we are way showers, that we are pioneers in this field, this unified field. And it's actually integral to our, we could say, evolution, which our evolution is the one evolution of human consciousness. It's actually integral to flower into our uniqueness, to embody our uniqueness. Because then we really come to realize that the way that we're wired isn't something that we need to argue with, and definitely not something that we need to try to overrule, and we need to try to be different. It's actually a process of coming to celebrate so fully the unique one that we are each here to be. Because when each one is focused upon their own depthful, subtle evolution, it's actually the greatest support to the whole field, and the greatest support to each of us is that I need you to be you so that I can be the one that I'm here to be. I need everyone to be, we all need everyone to be their unique blossom out of the rich, fertile ground of wholeness, of the one, of the revelation. Because the more that we are drinking from the eternal wellspring of abundant glory, the Arul field of light, the grace, right? The more that we are drinking in the abundant nourishment of grace, divine nourishment that we discover here in the stillness, in the silence, in the richness. As we drink in this nourishment, it actually is giving us deep transmission of permission to be the one that you are uniquely here to be. And we are each being flooded with dharmic flows of the unique gifts and skills and abilities, the unique message, the unique flavor of love that we are each here to bring, right? There's a great profundity to the flowering of the uniqueness that really illuminates that this is not about transcending the person. This is not about transcending the unique lived experience, the human experience. It's so compellingly about engaging more fully from a frequency of love, from that wide open, courageous heart. And maybe you can start to feel that all of the threads that we've all spoken and the weaving that's happening now of those threads, that as we're weaving these threads together into this tapestry of the unified field, that the deeper that we are resting in the unity, in the presence of being, in the stillness, the silence, and drinking from the wellspring and blossoming uniquely, being nourished by the silence, it brings this greater capacity to be with the play of the world without being knocked over, without being capsized. Really recognizing, cognizing at the level of intelligence that it's not personal, that we're not being judged, we're not doing it wrong. And perhaps you can start to feel how all the pieces that are being spoken now are like threads of the whole flow of consciousness, and how it's all one flow serving itself holistically. And wherever we are in the field, and whatever it seems like our unique exploration is in this moment, it's still all one, and we're still moving together. We're still like a murmuration, right? We're still moving together as one. And as we each, we could say, engage in the unique assignment and adventure that we're here to have, that's the greatest support to the whole, and therefore the greatest support to each other. Mm. And what incredible grace to recognize the depth of still, silent presence, and to be able to really receive the nourishment of the silence. to feel compelled to drop into the silence, to recognize that here we are held, we are embraced, we are loved, that there's a rebalancing and harmonizing of the heart field that happens here, because it is a field of divine coherence. The field that is one is totally coherent within itself. And so we can drink in these frequencies of divine coherence. And we feel restored and nourished and like we have been drinking from the wellspring of life. And the great glorious good news is that the wellspring of life is an eternal spring. And as we rest in the still silent presence, it's a spring we can continue to drink from. The life-giving waters, we could say, that we come alive, we become more vital, more infused with life. When we're not looking to be nourished from the external, it's like we hand over depletion and we start to be nourished and discover new levels of vitality are possible when we are being nourished from the source. And we recognize that that nourishment is constantly here as a flow of transmission, as a flow of love, inclusivity, and as a flow of guidance and support, divine guidance and support that is always here to be called upon, to be in communion with. So in a way we could say, well, we start to feel more ease, more smoothness, more grace, more flow, more beauty. And alleluia, that feels glorious. We feel more of the wholeness. We're nourished in the silence. And yet we also can start to feel more purification. And this is the opportunity to recognize, well, this purification isn't something going wrong. The purification is an opportunity at this very particular moment. There's a conspiring in the intelligence, in the wisdom field, for something potent to surface out of the unconscious. And the exact circumstances at a very particular divine moment start to reorganize the field. And it can bring us into things that feel stressful and fearful and doubtful. And of course, all of that is an orchestration so that we can recognize, well, this fear, this doubt, this stress, this must be in me. And if it's in me, I don't want it to be running the show unconsciously. So what incredible grace for it to come forward out of the unconscious. And if I can meet the fear and the doubt and the stress, the shame and the guilt, if I can meet it and bring it to love, then that is going to shift my whole field. And my whole field is the whole field of humanity. So I'm willing to take one for the team, right? I'm willing to field what's coming forward as a personal assignment, so that all beings can benefit from the grace, and I can have the direct experience of recognizing in my lived experience the shifts and the changes that are happening, and to know that as a frequency field of love, then the frequency of love, of light, of grace, of wholeness that I'm here to bring starts to resonate out, right? Mm. So just resting here and receiving the goodness of the field that mirrors the goodness that you are, that you have never done anything wrong, and you don't need to prove yourself. Your essence is enough. Your lived frequency of essence, source connection, the presence of you is everything. And to be you is to be the presence, the fullness of presence. So when we say be you and we speak about the uniqueness, there's no actual persona or identity in that, in the true uniqueness. So we're kind of losing identities. We're losing personas. And we're bringing our identity to be with God in glory, that we are one with God. We belong to God in glory. And our essence nature, the unique frequencies that we're here to transmit and share, deepen into, explore, adventure in, the wilds of the landscape of consciousness. We really come to realize this is an adventure. This is a glorious adventure. We're not here to fix or change anything. We're here to discover that we have never been broken, that no amount of wounding or trauma that we may have lived through in this human life has taken away our innocence. Nothing has taken away the belonging to God. And we're in this deep, adventurous process of resonant remembrance of what we have always been. So it is a dance of being, and a dance that can feel in the human lived experience like becoming. So many things to think about, so many things to have ideas about, so many things to try to understand, so many things to give meaning to, so many ways of exploring this life. And none of it really matters. And yet there's an absolute permission to explore whatever is calling you in the deepest sense, right? But it's to hold it all lightly and to know where we are creating from and to not pin our meaning anywhere. Because in a second, in a flash, our whole way of seeing can shift. So we don't want to be holding on too tightly to ideas and giving meaning to things, because the wisdom, in a way, is one field, but how we perceive it and how we are open to it shifts as we deepen, as evolution of consciousness happens. Our perspective of seeing can shift the way that we see things. So we want to be holding everything lightly so that we can allow for those shifts to happen, that we're not holding on too tightly. One of the things that we can hold on to tightly is processing, is the fixing, changing, processing. And of course, there's a certain process that we move through, but the idea that we have to process everything. And as we mature and refine, we realize that we don't actually have to process in the way of analyzing and going into the story and referencing the past and trying to hook it up, like link it all up and work out what's going on. That we open to an intelligence that kind of has already got that organized. And when we open to the intelligence that's already got that organized, we realize that the mind kind of piecing the puzzles of the life together doesn't really have the same kind of meaning or juice that it once did. That the intelligence already knows. And when we are seeing from the perspective of the intelligence that knows, we can just shine a light and let the illumination happen and let the story fall away. And we can keep it simple. We can keep it graceful. We can keep a reverence for the wisdom and all of the ways that the wisdom plays, but we also come to a deep recognition that emptiness is indeed fullness, and that we don't need to fill the emptiness with lots of things or thoughts or ideas. That when we actually revere the emptiness, we discover that it's full of natural intelligence. And the natural intelligence is a living field that we have complete access to all the goings on in consciousness, right? And as we open to the intelligence and we get access to all the goings on, we realize what is going on here. And we start to mature and refine at the level of consciousness, at the level of intelligence. And this allows us to see more subtly, more finely what is happening in the play of the life. Yeah. So these are some of the dynamics that we are starting to notice happening in the field. So as the words are coming, you might recognize, like recognize, as the intelligence you might feel attuned with and have a particular dropping into a deeper cognition, a deeper sense of truth. It might feel like the pieces of the puzzle that you're kind of putting together within start to come together. And you realize that there's no pieces missing. It's just about allowing the reconfigurations to happen, to let the puzzle be configured within your lived experience of consciousness to the highest possible frequency that is available to you right now. But be ready for the puzzle to be broken up and all the pieces to be shattered. And then it will be reconfigured again, and a new picture will form, and the life will morph. And it's this willingness to be constantly surprised, astonished, in awe and wonder, and not need to land anywhere, so that the ever-deepening evolution and recalibrations can happen, right? Yeah. So just resting here, noticing the frequency field, the resonance of the still, silent being. Just being. Just being. And the knowing that anything that comes forward, the words, the transmission, it's always about you taking it in, drinking it in, attuning with it, and in a way, like a consciousness translation within the intelligence of the way that you are wired. You take it in and you translate it through the intelligence, and you take in what resonates, and you allow the recalibrations and the openings and the seeings that start to happen naturally within you as we attune in the field, as we join in the field. There's nothing to learn. It's all about what is enlivened, what is attuned with, what is opening and refining and recalibrating. It's all about your unique lived experience. And as the transmission field offers itself up, light codes are activated that have been dormant in the consciousness. The nervous system is upgraded. The consciousness, the whole field of consciousness is being upgraded. And you, sweet beloved, just get to sip the nectar. We all get to sip the nectar and allow the recalibrations to happen. And just look around and just notice what is enlivening, what is being noticed, what is being seen, what is being stirred, right? Everyone has a unique experience as we are infusing in the field. Yeah. We're not trying to get somewhere or achieve anything. We're just opening to the fullness of the adventure.